Liguori, Madeo, Leonetti, Magisano, and Garcea, an isogeometric solid shell model for post-buckling optimization strategies. Please, Liguori.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay. The aim of the work is to present a numerical model to be used within post-buckling optimization strategies. The main features of this model is that it is able to capture the fully nonlinear post-buckling behavior structure. It allows us to account for the worst case imperfection, and the strategy is applicable to general shape structures. Usually when designing a shell structure, the lowest buckling load is the reference load. However, there are cases in which this load is not a proper safe indicator, as the one reported here in the figure. Actually, also in the case of well-behaved structure, we can have that by taking advantage from stable bifurcated branches, we can exploit extra loading-bearing capability. When making a post-buckling optimization, we have two main issues. The first one regards the discretization techniques, because when designing full-scale structure, we can end up with many degrees of freedom of the numerical problem. From the other side, we have problem because the evaluation of the equilibrium path can be computationally expensive, especially when the effect of many imperfections need to be accounted for during the optimization. With this work, we propose a strategy that makes use of isogeometric analysis to reduce the number of degrees of freedom of the numerical problem. On the other side, we make use of a specialized version of Koiter's method to predict the initial post-buckling behavior. Here there are some details about the solid shell isogeometric model. Everything is pretty standard, exception made for the MIP formulation, that is a strategy that allows us to preserve all the advantages of the use of a mixed format in geometrically nonlinear analysis in a displacement-based model. To perform numerical integration, we make use of patchwise integration scheme. In doing so, we have two main advantages. The first one is that we can reduce the computational cost of the overall formulation, and then by using reduced integration scheme, we can eliminate interpolation locking. Koiter's method is commonly used in optimization of shell structures. However, many of the implementations regard simple geometries and simple post-buckling behavior. With the version we used here, we can account for complex shaped structures based on the solid shell description and by the isogeometric model, and capture nonlinear interaction between buckling modes. At the end of the day, Koiter's method gives us a reduced system of equilibrium equations that can be easily solved. In this way, the solution of the geometrically nonlinear analysis is made efficient. Another advantage is that by using this method, we can take into account the imperfection sensitivity of a structure on a single run. This is done by searching for the worst case imperfection. This is obtained by a statistical procedure that is based on Monte Carlo simulation. I'm about to conclude with some numerical results. They are about the optimization of a composite wing box made of composite material, of new generation composite material. This is the optimization problem. We want to minimize the out-of-plane displacement of the skin bay under some geometrical, technological, and mechanical constraints. In this picture, I show you some baseline equilibrium path, some reference configuration, and the results about 3 optimization scenarios. Essentially, we played with mechanical properties of the material and by the constraints to obtain different solutions. But in all cases, we can see how we get good improvements with respect to the baseline solution. So we, in a certain sense, we demonstrate that with this solid shell model based on isogeometric analysis and Koiter's method, we can optimize a full-scale structure in a reasonably computational time. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Francesco, also for respecting the timing, of course. Are there any questions for Francesco? No question. So I want to ask, did you try to make a certain concentration of population of defects on your model? And if yes, which kind of effect you have in the post-buckling phase?
Sorry, I didn't understand which effect.
You speak about an homogeneous population of defects.
Yes.
Try to put a concentration of this population, or you are planning to do it?
Well, we used as defect a combination of buckling modes. So it's not uniform because we start with a uniformly distributed population. Then, based on the results of the objective function, we try to focus on the areas of the domain in which we have described the imperfections to find the worst case imperfection. So we start with a uniformly random generated population, but then we evolve towards the worst case.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Question for Francesco.
How do you select the number of modes that you put as a geometrical imperfection?
Well, essentially we try to set up all the analysis by checking that for a certain number of predefined configuration, the number of buckling modes gives the exact post-buckling result, initial post-buckling result. Then we try to use that number of buckling modes to make the analysis at the meantime to build the imperfection population. So it's the number of, essentially, it's the number of buckling modes that we need for the analysis. Of course, we can use more buckling modes, but probably this is not convenient, even if we can increase the population, of course.
Well, thank you so much again, Francesco.